Okay, so this video came to me. I actually wasn't gonna film. Just got a little lip gloss. Wasn't gonna film today, but this video came to me and I was kind of like, you know what? I feel like someone needs to hear this message. I feel like I always needed to hear this message. I still probably need to hear this message, so I may have to like watch this back. But before I get started, this little cutie is free trust equals sugar. And there will be a review coming up on her, so you know how I roll. 4 times a week with the wig reviews and adding in these car vlogs. I'm wearing some of my handmade jewelry because I realized I wasn't wearing it, and I talk about it and then you don't see it. So there you go. Today I want to talk about a few people have reached out and asked me to do car vlogs, or just asked me questions in general about how they, like, they're afraid to wear wigs, or like they need to get used to it, or what have you. And so I wanted to do this car vlog about acceptance, honestly, because I feel like a lot of the challenge in most things that are difficult is all about acceptance. In other car vlogs, I've talked about really struggling with different things. The last few years of my life were the most difficult years of my life. I am getting on the other side of that, which is great. But I still have some challenges that I need to face. And so I kind of was like, you know, what do I say to them about being comfortable wearing wigs? Because I never really had an issue with it. And when I thought about that, I thought, you know, I didn't really have an issue with it per se, because I had already dealt with the wall that was in front of that earlier in my life. And what I mean by that is the fact that for you, if you're having trouble like wearing wigs or feeling comfortable in wigs, or you need to write down what those fears are. Write down what that worst case scenario is. Like, someone will make fun of you, they'll know it's a wig, and then you can deal with it from there. And that's where you have to come to terms and accept certain things. And acceptance doesn't mean resignation. And I fought acceptance on certain things, and probably still do, but those big things in my life, I fought accepting them because I thought that meant that I was resigned to whatever situation I was in. But what I failed to realize at the time was that you can't take a journey somewhere without knowing where you're going. You can, but once you figure out where you're going, that journey is faster and more clear. And, you know, even if you take detours, you still know in the horizon where you're going. So for me, acceptance was me just doing the research, putting in the coordinates, using my MapQuest, asking for help. Where do I go? How do I get there? And though the answer may not be awesome, you might be like, you have a really long way to go, at least you know what you're up against. I think it's really just that fear of not really knowing that gets us into a place where we like sort of basically get stuck, or we like get in our own way. So I say that to say, if you are struggling with wearing wigs, or you're afraid to wear them, take a second, write down what you're actually afraid of, write down what the worst case scenario is, write down the things that you would avoid, and then break those down. I think a lot of times, and this was for me, I started wearing wigs to prevent myself from being in a situation that I know would really affect me, and that was if I had to wear wigs and I wasn't comfortable. So I was like preemptive strike on that. So now I don't really care, because, you know, I don't have to wear them per se. My hair loss has slowed down quite a bit. I do feel like part of it is because I do wear wigs, and just, I guess, the stress of worrying about it is, you know, making it so my hair isn't falling out as much. Or maybe just the fact that I wear wigs, and with the wig cap, and it's just protecting my hair and giving it a chance to sort of like regrow? I'm not really sure. That part I can't tell you. But what I can say is, if I had to wear them all the time, I would be fine with it. And I am kind of even at a point where I'm almost more comfortable wearing wigs, even if people know. The only time it bothers me is when, like, my cousin, who I love, when she makes a comment about a wig that she doesn't like, and, like, she can have her opinion, and sometimes she's absolutely right, like, it's just not the right wig, and I test these wigs out, so sometimes I am wearing a wig that isn't awesome. But I had to ask myself, I'm like, why does it bother you so much? Because other people have said the same things about it, like, oh, that wig looks wiggy, or it's too bulky, or it doesn't suit your face, or whatever. And, like, I don't get as upset as when she does. And I think it's because I want her to accept me, and I'm reading it as not that she doesn't like the wig, but that she doesn't like something about me, which is totally goofy and irrational. And so once I said that to myself, this is what I'm afraid of, I was like, well, you're weird, and she loves that. So, you know, that was really what it came down to, is I had to say the thing that I feared. And in every situation, I think you need to say the thing that you feared. Once you do that and you find out, okay, I'm fearful that people will know and it will look like a wig, then you have somewhere to start. Then we can have a conversation. So if you want people to think that it's your natural hair, then you need to go with a wig that's either human hair or a synthetic fiber that's close to your natural hair, close to a cut that you would wear often. And if you can't find that, get a synthetic wig that's close to your natural hair, that's longer, take it to your stylist and have them cut it for you. And the nice thing is that then you don't even have to worry about styling it, because it'll just be done. If your fear is that, like, you want to wear synthetic, you want to be able to change it up, but you don't want the average person to know that you're wearing a wig, well, then those are where you look up the tips about how to make it look natural. And I feel like the best time to wear a wig is actually when you're not going somewhere. Do it in the evening. Wear it around the house. Wear it around the weekend. Wear it to, just like a random dollar store or something that you're running into that you don't, you're not going to run into people that you know, or you're not really concerned. Maybe just if you have to drop your kids off, just wear it to drop them off and come back. And do it in those little spurts, because I feel like people see these big things. Like, for instance, I lost like about 90 pounds, and I remember like seeing these big things when I lost it before. I'm trying to lose a little weight now, and I was like, well, before I lost 80 pounds in 60 pounds in 8 months, and then I lost the rest of it, and it came off so quickly. First of all, I was 21, so let's not even go there. Second of all, there was a lot of things that I did before that were like baby steps working up to that. First of all, accepting that I was that overweight, that was huge. And once I did that, yes, the weight started coming off of things because my mindset had changed. And I forgot about those baby steps. I forgot about the fact that I used to just walk, and my goal was just to be able to walk for 20 minutes. And once I did that, I only saw that huge end result. And I think a lot of times we don't give ourselves enough kudos and credit for those little baby steps. Those steps are necessary. You have to walk before you run, all that kind of stuff. And I feel like if you don't acknowledge those little baby steps, if you don't acknowledge that you just, want to wear a wig, that's a baby step. Watching wig videos, that's another baby step. Like, acknowledge all those things. That you wore a wig around the house when you were cleaning, that's a baby step. So I guess at the end of the day, my message is that, I can lean forward, but my message to you is the fact that if you're struggling with whatever, the hair loss, the wearing the wigs, going through a divorce, getting married, kids being born, kids going to college, whatever it is, when it's these like huge transition and these huge struggles, just go ahead and write down the worst case scenario. Write down what you're afraid of and attack those things. Like, a lot of times we can be like, well, wait, I'm afraid of that, but that's not realistic, or I can't control that. and just break it down and sort of chunk it down that way. Every mountain, every obstacle looks huge until you start working your way up it. And the first thing to start is to acknowledge and accept. So I hope this message was helpful. I hope it wasn't rambly. You know, I haven't had a lot of coffee yet. If there is a car vlog topic that you would like me to discuss, please put that down below. If you have any advice for people who are struggling with wearing wigs or being comfortable wearing wigs, please put that down below as well. If you haven't subscribed, please do so. And if you have, thank you so much. I'll see you in my next video. Bye.